looking to break into the UK market, what's the one thing that you would suggest that they do, and the one thing that they shouldn't do? Susanne?
My experience in the US is quite extensive, sort of like going to the WPCs, the SMB nations and to things like this. And I'm aware that you guys have the luxury of having a lot of conferences a lot of the year. We don't necessarily have that where we are. So sort of like the reliance on vendor exhibitions doesn't necessarily bring everybody constantly, so that becomes your main sort of like income. So I would suggest that if you're going to come over, I would look at the existing communities that are already in the UK. Look to CompTIA, look to there were Microsoft Small Business Specialist partner communities. It was kind of sort of like urged on the side. But I think that's also an opportunity for somebody to come in, swoop them up in the wings, and re-energise them into something that basically echoes what's being discussed today. There's a massive opportunity to do that. The bit of the don't do on that aspect is also assume that you're going to leave them in charge and they're all going to welcome you with open arms. It takes a lot of conversations about relationship building, and each one of them tends to be different. If you look at your customers that you've already got now, they don't all operate in the same way. You'll have your chosen favourites who sit at the top of the milk, the cream, and then you'll have the great unwashed. Be prepared to deal with both of them in force when you're running exhibitions. But maybe if you came over, you could instigate some more channel exhibitions and get us buying differently. We're a bit more conservative, I think, with a small C. We tend to want to be wooed rather than walk around with credit cards ready to, swipe it through the square. So there's a different technique, but I think we welcome more people coming in to help our channel, because it needs more of a conversation, and if you're the right job, then we'll welcome you.
John?
Yeah, I'd echo those comments really. I think you've got to find the right channel partners in each territory. It depends on your model, if you sell direct or if you sell through distribution. But those guys tend to have the feet on the street, the experience, the knowledge in each territory, and that's invaluable. But Suzanne's point is absolutely nail on the head really, because what we've seen is that the US approach to sales is far more aggressive, and you're able to kind of deliver mass marketing because you are one single very, very large marketplace. And what we've seen is that you need to take a bit more of a long game approach. You need to nurture more. You need to build a brand awareness and to create some demand really for your value proposition, and that takes time. With some of the vendors that we've seen, they're kind of scratching their heads saying, well look, I'm spending $60,000 a month on pay-per-click through Google, and so and they're asking why they're not getting any return. Well, they're not getting any return because these ads have been served up to people that A, are not thinking about that brand because they're not aware of it, and B, they're perhaps less mature in the marketplace, so they're not even necessarily aware of the cloud, but how it's relevant to them, or managed services. So you have to create that demand first, and it is a different approach per territory. Don't take a one-size-fits-all approach, and the best way to really get your head around that is to work with local partners, either through distribution or through organisations like CompTIA, people that really know that marketplace and that can really advise you on how best to go and grow opportunity in each territory.
Thank you. Nick?
I think for me, the thing I would say don't do is to take it half-heartedly. I've come to a few conferences in the States. I've met with some great vendors, some great products. Like I said, the market's not quite as mature in the UK, so there's great opportunity for some of these vendors. And when I've spoken to them, do you have plans for the UK? Sadly, the answer has sometimes been, well, you can buy one if you want. And that was their approach to the UK. And I can have one if I wanted to, and they would ship me it, and I can't be on my own. I'd rather they said no. So be prepared to say no, and if you decide you want to do it, take it seriously. I think what you should do is employ and empower somebody locally, like Susanne said, have some feet on the ground, somebody who understands the culture, somebody who can get around the local communities, someone who can reach out to your existing vendor partners from North America that are in the UK already, and engage with those people and customise, like I say, come back to some of the materials and actually develop a local geographic business plan.
Alan?
I'd say from a vendor perspective, employing somebody who from the local market to work for you, from working with whether it be Japanese or Chinese or US vendors, people who've worked for a competitor, or the market share that you're trying to take away from, employ one of them, you'll get them, you'll get their expertise, you'll get their networks as well, and then you'll get their trust, because they'll know people, and if they come to someone they worked with for the last 10 years, albeit at a different company, and say, okay, I'm now working for X, Y, Z, you should come and talk to me. That's, 5-10 meetings you can get very, very quickly. If you're coming over and you don't know those people, it's a lot harder. But I think if you get somebody, you have to pay a fair whack for them to get them from a competitor, but you get their networks, and people networks in a smaller community than US, that you can get more through buying people than anything else, really.
Steve?
I've got an observation about the UK. There's a big road called the M25 around London, and then there's something called the M4 corridor where Microsoft are based. 80% of all UK IT business lies within that geographic area. And there's a big difference in the UK. We do business face to face. Here it's very difficult to go from one large city to another city. Don't throw webinars at people, it'll turn them off. They like to do business face to face in the UK. That's a very, very important thing. In regards to Europe, one of the first things I learned, the first shocks I had as a salesperson, I build pictures with language. I articulate concepts and ideas by painting word pictures. It doesn't work for somebody whose second language is English. Don't try telling jokes to the Dutch. I was asked once, Steve, what are these cats and dogs that are raining? So when you're doing a business presentation to any European country where English is their second language, keep it very, very simple. Don't paint word pictures because they won't get it. In Holland, their English is absolutely excellent and they're very proud of their English, but they don't understand some of the nuances. And we share culture here. We have your TV programmes. We know what you mean when I feel quite at home here because of the TV that I've watched over the years. They don't watch American TV. They don't get that kind of language.
Despite the coverage of the Olympics.
Despite the coverage.
Is there any questions from the audience at all?
Yeah, I like what I hear, and I think we may be ready to have a foot on the ground, or maybe two in England with our products. The question I have is, how important is it also to have other resources there? For example, a support staff to go along with a salesperson in order to roll out a new product.
John?
It's really, really important. We've seen a number of vendors that come out of the US that don't have that resource, and it really upsets customers in the marketplace. They kind of want to feel that you really are making a commitment to the marketplace. People have to, particularly kind of vendors and want to work with MSPs, because they don't buy products to necessarily go and sell again, tin shifting type exercise. They have a product stack and they wrap their services around it. So in order to encourage them to invest in your technology, they really need to feel like they have the support and the backbone and the mechanisms that once the sell is done to kind of support them and their customer base. And if that's not local, with the time difference, you've got real problems. And the ones that have been successful have made that investment, not only in sales but also in post-sales support. It's quite important.
Is there any other resource that you think would be necessary, an ingredient, in order to do an initial try into a European market, besides the sales and the support resource?
I think, depending on your model, if your channel guys are pretty important that understand how to grow channel relationships. It comes down to your model in terms of whether you're going through distribution or whether you're selling into resellers. They're a good idea. Because you've got to have that strategy in place that expands the way to engage with the marketplace. That's pretty important. Local billing, that's another one that you also need to think about.
Lee?
From a reseller perspective, I don't want to disagree with John entirely, but I think early stage I'm not convinced you do need support on the ground. I think you need to have a plan and you need to have an offering that meets your prospective customers' needs as a reseller. If you came to me, a great product, we're launching in the UK, we've got support, but it's in the US. As long as you're covering our time zones, you've got a plan to meet our needs. Actually, I don't think you need to, day one, have support staff on the ground. I think the billing is actually probably more important. We don't want to be trying to send IBAN payments to the US. I don't even know what that means. We want £1 billion and we want to be able to pay an English bank, you know, that's how it works. I don't think you need to have support staff on the ground. I think you need to have it in your long-term roadmap, but I think as long as you can actually have a confidence and an answer when that question is put to you, that you can deliver support. Most of the products I work with, actually, the support is out of the States. You know, WatchGuard is, Microsoft is, a number of the others. You know, this support is actually delivered out of the States. As long as you've got an offering that meets the need, I don't think you need to have that day one.
Yeah, in terms of support, don't see it just as sort of like the back-end stuff. There's also pre-sale stuff that you'll need. You'll need somebody to actually know what the lay of the land looks like, who can actually line up appointments for your sales guy, because otherwise your sales guy is going to burn out. He'll have too much to do, he'll have too many conversations to have, he'll be so overcooked that he'll end up disappointing, and that's bad PR. That's really bad PR, because if you're going to come over, and like the guys were saying, and put all the cash into it and go feet in, you can't really get back out of that because everybody talks. So I would say in terms of support, whether it is in the US or whether it is in the UK, you need somebody who's got the IP. And again, there's a stack of data that you can pull from, well, Seth's sitting here, so I'm going to say it, there's a stack of data from the CompTIA side of things that you can basically pull together, turn into the strategy and actually validate why you are spending so much time with a particular customer and not with somebody else. Because when you go back to your VP of Sales and Marketing, you're going to have a good enough argument to say why the pace is slightly different.
You kind of picked up on it with regards to local pricing and billing. And when I speak to a lot of vendors, this is something that comes up with regards to finances, the tax implications. Why is it so important that it's kind of localised?
I just think from an administrative point of view, it's more difficult to take invoices in dollars. You know, I think quite a lot of the American vendors I know often want to have payment by credit card. That's really uncommon in the UK. I know you guys all get free flights and free golf bags and all this stuff when you buy everything on a credit card. We don't get any of that. So most businesses don't really buy anything on a credit card. You know, the owners use them for a flight here and there at hotels, but we don't pay suppliers with credit cards. So it's just about understanding that administrative function within our businesses, and like I say, it's much easier for us to kind of pay a UK bank in pounds. It's not the end of the world, it's not a deal breaker. You know, again, as long as you understand that, I don't think you need to have that on day one actually, as long as you can explain your strategy and sympathise with the needs and get, you know, have an answer to that.
I don't want to monopolise this, but personal experience, if you're going to go over into another country, you also need to educate your internal staff. So if I'm a reseller, and I have a wonderful experience with the sales guy, and I have a wonderful time with the marketing team, if I have an account team, the finance team, who sends me an email like it's some sort of like telegram with stop at the end of everything, with no hello, with no talking in the same culture, you've lost that relationship and it undoes everything everybody else was doing before. So, like I said before, it's not just about the pre-sales, it's all about the post-sales. If you are going to go into a country that has a different culture, that needs explaining, I would run a few PowerPoint presentations back in your internal staff and communicate out why they also need to resonate the same messages that your feet on the street are generating.
Steve, what about from a tax implication perspective?
Well, we all have to pay. Yeah, I mean, I just have to be aware of the way value-added tax works, and it's very similar. Tax is tax wherever you go, whichever country you go. That's a common denominator. Maybe the percentages are different, but and there are some quite complicated tax rules between the UK and Germany and France. But really, that's a question I'm not qualified to get into too much.
Okay. Probably got time for one more question.
Hello, I'm Howard Butler with Conducive Technologies, and we've already established a business entity of our company in the UK, just in south of London. But what I'm really interested in knowing are what are the ROI or cost justification factors that really resonate with the different entities all across EMEA? Are they similar? Are they different? Does each geographic area have concerns on specific areas? Where do you think I should focus return on investment type of discussions?
Yes, that's what I was talking to you about earlier. I was at an event in Florida, again, I keep mentioning Autotask, about 5 weeks ago, and there was Dan Rensley and quite a few industry leaders speaking. And they said something that really resonated. with me and is very pertinent in Europe at the moment. It's hard to get hold of CapEx. The banks are not lending money in Europe, in any European country at all. However, OPEX is quite freely available. The amount of it might not be available, but the decision makers have the power to decide on OPEX. And that supports outsourcing, which supports managed services and cloud. Because the guy that couldn't authorise $10,000 on a new server may be able to authorise £50 a head on a managed service proposition. So the return on investment story is changing dramatically. And we've heard a lot today about or heard at lunch about the importance of salespeople's approach to ROI and the difference. We're no longer selling £10,000, £20,000 projects. And there's actually a big opportunity. The shift from OPEX, away from CapEx to OPEX, is the biggest opportunity, I think, that we see globally, not just in Europe. I don't know whether I've answered your question, but that's my view.
Anybody else, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we tend to see is a trend that get the UK right first, and then normally the next territory for most vendors is Germany. And that's driven by the size of the marketplace, but it's also driven by economics, and that's really prevalent right now in terms of the global economy, particularly in Europe. So that tends to be a recipe for success if you're looking for quick wins. It also enables you to kind of understand the marketplace and kind of learn the lessons, learn what works, what does not work. Don't take too many risks. Don't kind of stretch yourselves too thin until you've kind of got your understanding of how the nuances within each territory works. Level platforms, they've got a really interesting strategy, and that's exactly what they're doing. And they're absolutely adamant, and they're not going to invest too heavily across Europe until they've really got the UK market sewn up. They've got a good sort of footprint in the UK, and then they're going to do the same for Germany. So that would be my advice to you. They're the largest markets. They are probably the most stable marketplaces, and if you take it one at a time, that seems like a very pragmatic and sensible approach.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I've got one last question. Sum up the opportunity for a vendor looking to break into the UK or EMEA market in one word. Steve.
Profit.
Alan?
Come back to me. I'm still thinking. I was going to say that.
I would say growth. I'll use one word.
Opportunity. Susanne?
Intuitive.
Alan?
That's it.
Offer good margin. I'm going through words. If I go through words, I can...
If you can join me in thanking the panel, and especially Susanne, for the presentation this morning. It just leaves me to say we do have a number of UK community delegates within the audience. Do you want to just raise your hand? UK delegates. For the vendors in the room, if you do want to stay behind and have a chat with those guys, please feel free. My role within the UK is to look after vendor engagement. So if there are any vendors that do need any help or assistance, please come and see me afterwards. Just a couple of notices. Join us from 4 till 6 PM for the Technology Vendor Fair next door. And for those playing Breakaway Booth Tag, the tag to get points for this session, it will be up on the screen next, just there. And the award for that will be at 5:50 at the Technology Fair. And please don't miss the Accelerate dinner tonight at 7 PM. Thank you very much.